Namaste, Masters. Welcome to today's session. Another wonderful chapter of Mind to Matter book. And before we start the session, let's express my sincere gratitude to Saroja Madam for this wonderful session. Thank you, Saroja Madam, for providing this wonderful platform beyond your mind. And today we have a wonderful topic on chapter 3, which is deals with our emotions, how our emotions affect the matter. And today's section will be like interactive, Masters. Like anybody know what is electroencephalogram? Simply, we call it as EEG, because most of the people will heard the term EEG, because in every hospital it will be there, and most of the medical tests will be conducted using EEG. Anybody knows about anything? Okay, that's fine. EEG is invented by a German scientist whose name is Hans Berger, who is born in Germany. Because he strangely invented this equipment, because he is working in a when he is at the age, around the young age, he is working in army, where he is doing a military drill, and suddenly his horse throw him away and he fall down, and which he fall down, it's in the path of a tank which is coming on that way. So in a split second they able to stop the tank, so that he can able to escape narrowly from the death. But what surprised him is, this is a normal incident, but what surprised him is, on the same day evening, he received a telegram from his father that about his well-being. After seeing the telegram, he just communicated with his family, and then he got to know that his older sister got a strange feeling that about his well-being, which she is around 100 kilometers away from the current location of him. That has grew, that has put a sprout on his mind, how it happened, what is the reasons behind it. He want to explore more. His initial intentions was to be an astronomer. He want to be an astronomer after getting out of army, but he dropped that one and moved to psychiatry, and then started working on studying the brains and all. In 1924, in June, he got a brain of a 17-year-old boy who has a huge gap in his brain, where he is got able to study that brain, and he's unable to study it because at that time 1924 there's not a proper equipment is there to study the brain. So he done numerous experiments with the available equipment and the technology. He built a equipment where he can monitor brain with one electrode, and from that what happened, he submitted all, and he, from that equipment only, he invented the first wave, alpha wave. Then later on it is named as a Bajor wave as well as, but that's the first invention in the studies of brain. Like they call it as a Bajor wave later on. But after this many years of initial research on EEG, right now the latest equipment of the EEG is having 19 electrodes, where it will be put like a helmet, which is shown in the diagram, because these are the 19 electrodes which receive so many signals of our brain activity. So today's EEG, as of now, 19 electrodes will have, and each electrode, a single electrode at this point of current technology, with this current technology, a single electrode provides estimation of semantic action averaged over issues masses containing between roughly 100 million to 1 billion neurons. one electrode can do this much, gather information and pass on to the EEG equipment. When we see brain waves changes on an EEG, it indicates that firing pattern of billions of neurons in our brain, the changing pattern of the brain. So here is the photograph of the inventor, whose name is Hans Berger. Because initially his research was not taken seriously, but that he is the father of the EEG, who invented. That's why we are able to study brains at this point of time. With the current technology, we are able to study the brain properly and diagnose also. Masters, here we just EEG is the one, because EEG current, everything is wave, vibrations and waves. Why? Because whenever we disturb any particle, it will create vibrations and it will give waves. The same way, so participants do know anything about waves? You can unmute, masters, and talk, or if you want to chat, you chat. That's a so I just little bit explain about waves here. Let me explain. And waves form typically like different. There are square waves, sine waves, and because right now normally the waves we see will be like this. When we throw a stone on a water, what happens? It will be generating waves, right? Because the proper definition, there are many definitions for the waves, like propagation of disturbances from place to place in a regular and organized way. Most familiarly are surface waves that travel on water. But sound, light, and the motion of subatomic particles all exhibit wave properties. Whatever it is moving, it exhibits some pattern of the wave. And these waves are very crucial when researching the brain. So what happens? Because the typical wave have some physical characteristics as per the physics. If we see, we call this as amplitude. This one, sorry. This is amplitude because the height, because wave is traveling like this. This is the peak and this is the crest. This is the highest point and this is the lowest point, which is from the center of the graph. Like this, because this one is the lowest amplitude, this is the highest amplitude. And this one is measured in microvolts. So I'll just stop this one and share our screen properly. So measurement of brain wave shows peaks and valleys, because that's what the highest and peak one is the highest and bottom one is the valley. The distance from the peak to the trough is the amplitude. That's why we have a center line, right? And from the peak to the trough, this is the trough and this is the peak. So it is called amplitude. And amplitude is measured in microvolts. That's what EEG reads, that microvolts reading will be showing in the EEG. And the brain waves typically measure between 10 to 100 microvolts. And Berger invented only one wave, alpha wave, that is called. And later on, they named it as Berger waves. But as per the current technology, there are 5 basic brain waves that are picked from the modern EEG. The first one is gamma, because this is the highest frequency wave, masters. Because when brain is generating gamma waves, it is the highest perception. Like we'll be in the peak trance state where we don't have any awareness of the surroundings where we are. Gamma is the highest brainwave frequency. It's most prevalent at times when the brain is learning, making associations between phenomenon and integrating information from many different parts of the brain. A brain producing lots of gamma waves reflects complex neural organization and heightened awareness. Because here author is talking about a monk's experiment. There is a experiment done along with the monks and the newly started meditators. Because when the scientists asked monks to meditate on what we call peace and heightened perception, like compassion, because they asked monks to compare the generate compassion when doing the meditation. At the same time, they asked newly meditators also. They are doing 1 hour a day. Those meditators, new people who started meditating. So the observations they noted are there are large flares of gamma waves measured in the brains. And these waves, these gamma patterns which they recorded are the highest so far recorded from the monks. And the monks reported after the experiment, they asked, they had experienced the pure bliss state when they are after the experiment. Then the scientist has compared what time they are expressing that bliss state and what time. So when they match this one, when the highest gamma waves are producing, at that time, the monks are on bliss state. So what happened? So the gamma waves flow from the front to the back of the brain about 40 times per second. That's why these are the because highest frequency, right? Because these travel very fast. That's why the wave pattern, if you see here, the wave is traveling very fast like this. Okay, check. Okay, masters. And the next is the beta waves. Because this one, beta waves are conscious waves, which the frequency range is from 12 to 40 hertz. Beta is typically divided into two parts, high beta and low beta. High beta is our monkey mind between 15 to 40 Hz, which indicates the brainwave patterns of people with anxiety, frustration, and people under stress. This when they are releasing high beta waves, what happens? It will shut down the brain regions. It will reduce the thinking abilities of the human beings by 80%. That's what they observed when they are doing research. And what happens at this time, the oxygen to the brain will be reduced and the nutrients to the brain will be reduced. And this is clearly observed when they are doing the scientific experiments along with the human brains. They're recording, these are all recorded in EEG equipment only. And the other part is the low beta, is the band that synchronizes our body's automatic functions like walking, doing things, regular daily activities, all these automatic. We breathe, but most of the people will breathe. It will be autopilot, right? We'll be breathing. No, will not be conscious about our breathing. That's why. So these are named as sensoromotor rhythmic frequency, or SMR, small short form. Beta is required for processing information and for linear thinking. So normal levels of beta are fine. When you focus on solving a problem, composing a poem, calculating the best route to the destination, or balancing your checkbook, beta is your friend. This low beta represents a calm, focused mental state. It's stress that produce high beta, especially above 25 Hz. That's what if this is the difference between high beta and low beta, which they had explained here. Next comes theta. Theta is also, alpha. Alpha is a state where we are in a relaxed state, masters, which the alpha frequency is from 8 to 12 hertz, is an optimal state of relaxed alertness. Alpha connects the higher frequencies, the thinking mind of beta, and the associated mind of gamma with the lowest frequencies, which are theta and delta, which we are going to discuss next, because alpha is in between gamma, beta are the highest frequencies, and the lowest frequencies are theta and delta, which we discuss next. So alpha is in between highest frequencies and lowest frequencies, which forms a bridge between higher and lower frequencies. That's what we are going to discuss further. Theta. Theta wave is frequency range from 4 to 8 hertz. This is a light sleep mental state, and the people call this as a healing frequency also. Theta is characteristics of light sleep. When we dream vividly, our eyes move rapidly. That's why they call it as REM sleep, light sleep, REM sleep. Theta is also dominant frequency of people under hypnosis, healers, people in trances, and people in highly creative states. The recollection of emotional experiences, both good and bad, can trigger theta. Now comes delta, the slowest wave out of the 5. This frequency is ranging from 1 to 4. This is where we are in a deep sleep state. Delta wave is a deep sleep state, masters, where no activity, very minimal activity like routine sleep, breathing patterns will happen. These are the very minimal activity of the body is going to happen in this time. Very high amplitudes of delta are also found in people who are in touch with non-local mind. Because when we are with non-local, like now we are in a physical mind, that's completely we are aware of. But when we are connected, when we are doing meditation and connected with the non-local mind, then we can see high amounts of delta releasing our brain. Even when they are wide awake, the brains of meditators, intuitives, and healers have much more delta than normal. The eyes of people who are deep dreamless state don't move, because theta waves, our eyes move rapidly, but delta, that's what, there is no activity level. So the author is saying there is no movement in the eyes, and they call it as rapid non-eye movement sleep also, the alternate for delta state. Now we are going to discuss about awakened mind, masters, which we had discussed again, another scientific experiment conducted by famous scientist Maxwell Cade, which he invented a wonderful equipment to read this wave pattern, because he knows EEG, because what does at the because he invented another equipment using the EEG technology. They call it as mind mirror. Let me briefly explain about this author, how he came into this field. So he is a biophysicist. Cade had worked on radar for the British government before turning his attention to measuring states of consciousness. He developed his own machine, the Mind Mirror, in 1976. It is unique among EEG devices in that it provides a clear visual snapshot of brain waves. Using the Mind Mirror over 20 years, Maxwell Cade recorded the brain wave patterns of more than 4,000 people with strong spiritual practices. He found the awakened mind state was common in this group. Maxwell Cade also noticed another similarity. They all had high amount of alpha. As noted, alpha waves are right in the middle of the spectrum, right, masters? Because alpha wave is in the center, higher frequencies are on top, and the lower frequencies of delta and theta are on the bottom. When someone in the awakened state has lots of alpha, it creates a link between the high frequencies above and the low frequencies below. Maxwell called this the alpha bridge because the alpha is in the middle of the spectrum. What happened? It is forming a bridge between the lower frequencies and the upper frequencies, high frequencies. What happens when this bridge forms? That's what here he explained it. Because it bridges the conscious mind frequencies of beta with the subconscious and unconscious mind frequencies of theta and delta. This allows a flow of consciousness integrating all the levels of mind. Because we have our brain have conscious, subconscious, unconscious mind, which is science is also telling the same thing. Now, what happened? This alpha is connecting this all three minds: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious minds. We're using gamma, theta, delta frequencies, wave patterns.
Sorry,
Cade also
sir.
wrote that, sir.
I think the screen we are just seeing the blank screen there. Like,
Sorry. Can you able
now
to see
it's
Maxwell
fine.
Cade photograph?
Yeah, we can't see the photograph. That was a white blank. Now yeah. Can you try again? Yeah, now it's
Now,
fine. Now it's fine.
it's showing, sir.
Yeah, now it's showing. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, sir. The another picture which here we see is Maxwell Cade himself sitting in the blue shirt, and in 1970s this photograph is taken, and this is the all the equipment showing is a mind mirror. At that point of time, the mind mirror is a big one, but now the mind mirror he had transformed at this point of time is very small equipment which is in a small in a briefcase. And another thing Cade wrote about after observing all the wave pattern of the spiritually enhanced persons, the awakening of awareness is like gradually awakening from sleep and becoming more and more vividly aware of everyday reality. Only it's everyday reality from which we are awakening. So this is what he had observed, and he author mentioning about Maxwell Cade and how his experiments has transformed the recordings of wave patterns from different levels of the human minds, and here author Dawson Church has mentioned he had after studying all these wave patterns, he had invented a meditation technique he called is echo meditation. That is very simple, but if we do consistently, because it will take around 10 minutes only to do the echo meditation, it will, what happens, echo meditation will help to bring people into the awakened mind, and the same thing is being recorded in EEG pattern as well. As because echo meditation uses EFT technique, which we had Gangadhar sir previously also told, and we had discussed in chapter 2 about the EFT tapping of relaxation. So he used that EFT technique and some other visualization tools to create echo meditation. It takes you through a series of simple physical relaxation exercises that send signals to satisfy the brain and body. It does not rely on belief or psychology. Instead, it based on sending the body psychological cues that produce a deeply relaxed state automatically. The instructions are free at Echo Meditation Masters. If time permits, today we will do using the audio from Dawson Church. Otherwise, we'll be doing at the end of the chapter. We'll do. Okay, masters. And author here is he mentioned well, people are doing echo meditation. He observed a lot of delta waves in the EEG devices. So delta is where we connect with the many resources above and beyond the local self. As noted, people in trance states, as well as healers, artists, musicians, and intuitives, tend to have plenty of delta states. They lose all their awareness of the outer world as they become absorbed into their creativity. They are mostly in delta, when some theta and alpha and just enough beta to function. It has been fascinating to the other to speak to people whose brain shows a high amplitude of delta during meditation. So here we had few photographs of the brain activity recorded by Maxwell Caird Masters. This photograph here we can see is this is the normal brain from both sides, left and right hemisphere of our brain. This is how recordings happen in mind mirror equipment which Maxwell Caird has invented. So this is the way the normal brain is. The next one is a recorded version of a person who is with anxiety. This is how, because when the person is in anxiety, the beta waves are so much of beta patterns are going on in our brain. But when we are in a normal mind, what happened? The delta waves are high and everything is in normal state. So here author tells about a story of a person and one more we have like this is the wave recordings which the author had gathered from Maxwell Caird's mind mirror equipment. This is the awakened mind activity. This is how the brain waves will be when we are in a state of awaken. When we see that one, because here the alpha bridge is found because here we can see a lot of alpha activities going on and the delta activities is also high. And here the author is telling about a musician trapped in the programmer because when he's conducting a workshops about the echo meditation and all, one of the participants' name is Prem. He is a software programmer, and when he initially attended the echo meditation program, he told that I used to meditate, but it didn't go through. And his initial opening statements, life is tough. There is no time to do other activities because Prem likes to play, knows how to play guitar, but it's a long time he didn't play guitar because of his work tensions and other things in the family matters. So when author had started doing, he recorded his brain activity as well as before starting the echo meditation. So he had delivered echo meditation and he had continuously doing that echo meditation for few days. And after that, when he recorded the brainwave pattern of Prem, there is a drastic change in that one. Because when what happened? Because his immunity grown up and his resting heart rate, because everybody who is attending the workshop, they used to take all the readings of the human body, typical readings like heart rate, blood pressure, and all this stuff, and the brainwave activity as well as. So after a few days of echo meditation, Prem's resting heart rate dropped from 79 to 64 beats per minute. And his blood pressure dropped from 118 by 80 to 108 by 70. All this indicates a positive outcome from the echo meditation. And the same thing happened from all other participants. On an average, they are telling that resting heart rate dropped from 70 to 66. That's how profound echo meditation is helping people after even within a short span of time, like even a 5 days workshop, 10 days workshop, also they are getting a lot of transformation. That's what after the workshop, Prem told, like when author explained him, this is your initial statement, life is tough, then there is no time to play. He burst into laughter, and that sounds like my dad is speaking. That's what he felt like. He is programmed like that from the childhood, that his dad is always telling that life is tough and there is no time for other activities. That's what he's programmed from the childhood. That's why he's also repeating the same thing in his life. That's why, because now Prem is playing guitar every day, like when every day as well as, and he's practicing echo meditation every day as well as. That's how echo meditation helping people to transform their life. That's what here author is trying to explain, how echo meditation is helping people. Next, consciousness changes, brainwave changes, masters. Here, because when our consciousness changes, brainwaves also change, masters. Here, author trying want to explain about this one. The energy fields of brainwaves and the matter of neural pathways are in a constantly evolving dance. When consciousness changes, brainwaves change, and different neural pathways are engaged. The extremes are love and fear. When we are in state of fear, our alpha bridge disappears. We may still have theta and delta, but we are cut off from the resources of our subconscious mind and its connection with the universal whole. When beta waves are flooded with fearful brain, it is in survival mode, masters. Here, other explains how a state of bliss shows awakened mind pattern in our brains and a step beyond to a symmetrical pattern called evolved mind. A consciousness is filled with love. Our brain functions differently with large amounts of theta and delta, plus a alpha bridge to connect our consciousness with our subconscious mind. That's what, masters. Because when beta is the second highest frequency, right, masters? So when we are in a state of beta, high beta waves, when our brain is explored, we are in a survival mode. We will be in a fear. We will be surrounded with fear. Our brain is. When we are filled with love, what happens? Large amounts of theta and delta, which are the lowest frequencies, will be releasing, and our brain will be very serene and calm. Masters, here comes the emotions, where we are discussing about this chapter, mainly the emotions part, which is because emotions create brain states. Brain waves measure the fields generated by consciousness, passing signals through the neural bundles engaging by love, joy, and harmony create a characteristic energy field. So here, author also observed the emotions of theta and delta progressed their patterns from the awakened mind to the evolved mind state. Because what emotions create, release neurotransmitters in our brain, masters. Among these are serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, and anandamide. Serotonin is associated with the satisfaction. Because there is a lot to discuss about these neurotransmitters, masters, but here author just simply explained about what which neurotransmitter is responsible for which physical how it affects our physicality. Next comes the dopamine, which is a reward. Because dopamine always with a sensation of reward, like if you do something, we'll get something, like a reward thing. Endorphins will block the pain and feel the pleasure. Will make us to feel the pleasure. Next comes oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone. with many people call love hormone also, masters. And finally, Anandamide, because it's called a bliss molecule. And it's named after the Sanskrit word for happiness, Ananda. It binds to the same receptor in the brain as other happiness, which is directly correlated because these neurotransmitters are released according to our emotional state, masters. That will show effect on our physical body. Mystical experiences, masters. Here, author discusses about discusses about the mystical experiences many
Sir,
masters
sorry.
experienced. Sorry,
Yes,
sir.
again white screen.
Again, white screen. Sorry, what happened? Now, are you able to see, sir?
Now it's okay. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay, then. Now we can see the mystical experiences heading, right, sir?
Yes, heading I can see. Yeah.
Okay. So here author is discussing about the mystical experiences of several people who he had gathered information and how it is affecting their daily lives and all. Here explain workshops and shared a particular exercise experience from a, because there are so many people attending workshops of the conducted by the author Dawson Church. He want to particularly speak about a particular experience from a lady called Julie who suffered from depression. She describes how annoying it is when she closed her eyes and she can hear all the itching in the body and the neighboring guy who is breathing. All these sounds, it is she is able to hear and feel it. Once she subsided her stuff and felt the peace in her mind, then she could able to feel the breath going in and out from her nostrils, and she felt like that flow is like a river flowing. She started to float like a helium balloon. She felt like that, and she start and going away from the where she sat, and she felt like she is going to somewhere new place, another place which she is not aware of. She never saw that place also. She can feel that rocks, trees, and the water where she traveled, and she felt like she is the part of there, she is the part of that place. There comes, she saw a four-legged huge blue beings drifted near to her, and she felt incredible love and connection flowing out of them. They were like outlines of people, but transparent and about 15 feet high, made out of beautiful royal blue mist. I have been so
Are you
worried
showing
about.
any pictures, sir? Here we can't see.
No,
No.
I'm just showing because there is no
Please.
picture shared about Julie, so I
Yeah.
just used a cartoon
Yeah.
picture to show about Julie.
Okay,
That's
sir.
all.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So here Julie is sharing her experiences about how she met a blue beings in her meditational while doing meditation, and she felt the love and peace in her when she get to see that blue beings and all, and she explained about how tall they are, and she gave me, and the blue being gave a shiny little diamond crystal to remind me that she's always there. Uh, and they put it, and then she put it in her heart, that shiny diamond crystal. It melted all the miserable depressed pain that I have been living there for so long, and the pain becomes drops of water and then fell into the ground. This is the meditational experience she experienced when she sat for meditation. And when the instructor told to come out from from the meditation, she felt like she's very very far, maybe a million miles away from where she sat. But immediately, because that's a meditational experience, my instructor told, and she immediately came out. And here author wants to explain some commonalities, common mystical experiences which most of the people who, like Julie, described the mystical experience she had. Most of the people like this, the common, he observed some commonalities between these mystical experiences and noted down as one of the noted here they had he had explaining is first one is a pervasive feeling of peace, the falling away of worry and doubt, a felt sense of detachment from local self and the limitations of the body, an experience of oneness with non-local mind, including nature, the universe, and the all of the life, a meeting with a symbolic guide, receiving a symbolic gift that carries healing power, the integration of the gift with her body and her local self, a sense of being changed by the experience. Because these are all the commonalities author noticed from the mystical experiences of the meditators and listed down here. Here, author also explains about the neuroscientists instructing the meditators to tap their fingers 3 times when they feel the experience of oneness. This allowed the scientists to create their internal experiences with the correlate with the internal experiences with brain states on the EEG readout. And here, author is telling about the mystical experiences of Tukaram, one of the Indian saints who is from 17th century. Because he wrote a beautiful poem. That's what here he explained about a oneness. About he wrote a beautiful poem about a oneness, which he had connected with uh, the God or universe, whoever it is. But because Tukaram is a saint where he connected with Panduranga, and in Tukaram's poem, we can see the characteristics similar to Julie's experience. He loses his sense of local self, disappearing into non-local consciousness. He has an experience of oneness with the universe. He feels the universe communicating with him, a state of unity in which two worlds are necessary. No words are necessary. That's what Tukaram also explained. But at that point of time, there is no EEG equipment around there, so that scientists cannot record all this information. But the experience Julie went through and the Tukaram is almost similar. And here author explains about another great saint, Paramahamsa Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, as well as because when here author is telling that when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa sat for meditation, he will be in some trance state for long hours. After that, once he come out from the trance states, his body is become so stiff that it takes time to move his body parts. Even he can't able to speak also. It took so much. It took certain hours to gain her physical body strength to speak as well as. That's how powerful the experiences of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Once he come out and once his voices are came through, he used to explain to his explain like his experience as he described seeing a light like a million suns. A luminous form emerged from the light, took human shape, then reintegrated with the light. That's what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa experiences after a deep state of meditation. Here, author trying to explain the correlation of the delta with non-local consciousness, masters. Delta waves and connection with the non-local consciousness. Because author here trying to explain how the consciousness, non-local consciousness is directly connected to the delta waves, because delta waves are the lowest frequency, right, masters? Because author Dawson Church, his friend and a colleague, one of the famous scientists, Dr. Joe Dispenza, has been collecting so many brain scans of meditators from many years, and now it had become more than 10,000 scans available. When we see in Joe's collection, people with much more theta and delta than usual. The baseline amount of delta is the brains of meditators is much greater than usual. The baseline amount of delta in the brains of meditators is much greater than this in the normal brains. Meditators have practiced releasing their attachment to local mind and immersing themselves in experiences of oneness with non-local mind. Because Joe Dispenza also conducts a lot of workshops, and a lot of people participate in that one, so that at that workshops also he records so many EEG patterns and other physical parameters as well as from the physical body. Repeated meditation moves the brain into a new zone of functioning that includes much more delta than the old normal. When Joe tested first hundreds and then thousands of such brains, he noticed that they were processing information in a way that was very different from the average brain. Neuroscientists measuring the changes in brain waves during Joe's advanced workshops found that over the 4 days of workshop, the brain baseline delta activity increased by an average of 149%. This is a huge improvement scientists noticed after advanced workshops of Joe Dispenza's workshop, because he conducts variety of workshops for beginners, advanced meditators, and there are different classifications is there, masters. From this research, they had gathered so much information about our brain activity. Delta brain waves range in amplitude from 100 to 200 microvolts. This is the typical EEG recordings, masters. From the peak to trough, top to, from peak, then to the trough, then to the low, and then to trough. So this is recorded from peak to trough. When testing people in echo meditation workshops, we often see amplitudes of over 1000 microvolts. So 1000 microvolts with the current equipment, they can't even measure that 1000 microvolts, even the advanced EEG at this current with the current technology. Next, author here is explaining about the connection between theta and the healing frequencies, healing. Sometimes such altered brain states are accompanied by rapid healing. In a meditation workshop taught by Joe Dispenza, a Mexican man, they call it Joes, because he is going through a life-threatening operation the next week or sometime like that, and he attended Joe Dispenza's workshop, and that's the first session happened for him, the Joes. And in that session, he explained his experience. He shared his experience, how his cancer got cured, life-threatening cancer got cured during the meditation.
Sir, what is REM sleep?
Sorry, sir?
REM sleep, what is that?
Rapid eye movement.
Eye movement, huh?
Yeah, eye movement.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So this one,
sorry to interrupt, sir. Like, I think what it meant was like during the sleep when we go, like I think when we go to sleep, it's like we go from beta to alpha to theta. It's when we are in semi-sleep where we are in sleep but our eyes are moving. Is it, sir? That's
yes, sir.
That's when we are in theta state, isn't it?
That's a light sleep, we call them as, and REM sleep, where our eyes move very rapidly, and this is the state where we get dreams.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
REM sleep, which is a rapid eye movement. The abbreviation is rapid eye movement, REM sleep. Because if you observe the sleep cycles of nowadays, everybody is using smartphone and smartwatches, most of the people. So in the smartwatches, we get light sleep, REM sleep, and deep sleep. These are the parameters they are showing in the sleep patterns recorded in the smartwatches and smartphones. So there it is called light sleep, because the initial state, time to sleep, then it will show you light sleep, and then REM sleep and the deep sleep. So light sleep is, and where we are going is about to sleep, and REM sleep where we are in a, not in a deep sleep, not in a light sleep, in between light sleep and deep sleep, and there we get all kind of dreams, and our eyes move very rapidly. There we will see all the dreams will come in that REM sleep pattern. There theta waves, at that time the theta waves, the brain will be in a stage of theta state, where our brains will release lot of theta waves.
Yeah, I think when we are in this hypnotic state as well, like that's when I think we're in that kind of where we are not awake, but our eyelids are rolling inside, but we having
Yes, sir.
dreams or whatever it is. I think, yeah, that's when the healing happens, is it?
Yeah, that's right, sir. That's why, because theta waves is also called healing wave as well as masters, because here, as discussed earlier, when people able to deliver theta waves as per their, whenever they want, they are they are called healers, because these people, from the scientists experiments, that's what they noted. When people are releasing high theta waves, he can heal himself and he can heal the other persons as well as. So coming back to our topic, here Josh is sharing the experience, how he how he how he avoided the surgery to get out of the life-threatening cancer.
So it's again white screen there, sir. Sorry.
Sorry, sir.
There's a white blank screen there. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, it's fine.
now, sir.
Now it's fine, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what screen you are showing, sir? Delta and theta, right, sir?
Yeah, delta and theta. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So coming back to the experience of Jose, and when he sat for the meditation, during his meditation, he saw some otherworldly beings coming to him, and they opened the skull and removed all the cancer from the skull. That's what he experienced during the meditation. So he immediately went to, the next day he immediately went to doctor and done some scans and found out there is no cancer in his brain. So this sort of experiences happen, and what during this workshop, when he is having that kind of experience, like externally beings happening, then the recording shows a high amount of theta waves are coming at that point of time. He is going through a lot of theta wave pattern in his brain activity. Because during intense healing experiences, we often see high amplitudes of theta waves on the EEG. Theta has been mapped as a signature brain wave during energy healing. If one person is offering healing to another, we see big theta wave in first the healer and then the opposite person healing. The switch often happens at the moment the healer feels his or her hands becoming warm. The subjective experience of energy flow. In one study, a healer and client were both hooked up on EEG. The healer's EEG readout shows 14 periods of sustained theta. and the frequency of exactly 7.81 Hz. The client's EEG shifted to the same frequency, demonstrated entertainment between healer and healing. So, masters, here author wants to explain another real life example of a doctor who couldn't heal. Her name is Anisha, a brilliant doctor, volunteered to work, and she had done some great doctorates, researches, and other energy healing techniques also she learned, but she couldn't able to heal herself. That's it. That's what that's why she came to the author's workshop. How to get out of that situation, because she suffered from past 13 years, like symptoms of joint pain, fatigue, and brain fog, where sometimes severe and some other times less, because she's already frustrated on this one, because once she attended the workshops and all, and then author initially in the first instant, because based on the previous experiences, what happened in the first instance, only some people got cured, right, masters? But she is not able to cure in the first workshop itself. She attended continuously. After a couple of attendance, she because author asks several questions about his experiences and childhood memories, as well as the question, what contribution is this disability making my life? This is one of the questions he asks. And another question is, what would I be without this disability? When these questions are asked, it triggered a memory of time when she was 8 years old and being emotionally abused by a family member. She got stuck, and her illness became her shield. Like that's what she got a block where this over the period of time, this became a disability to her. So this disability, what happens? She is using it as a shield, unconscious. She is not aware of that thing. That's what other. Once the other brings out the root cause of this disability, then she started to cure herself by finishing by the end of the workshop. She is able to walk freely, and she is able to do all the activities on her own. This is where author explains how emotions and the blocks and pains are affecting our physical forms, physical life. Like there are a lot of commonality, like emotions release neurotransmitters, masters. And thank you for today's session, masters. Chapter 3, we are going to have another session as well as, and if anybody want to share anything, just please, you are welcome to share, masters.
Thank you very much, sir, for wonderful sharing. I think we got some insight into what this chapter is about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lakshman sir. Thanks for joining and sharing your feedback too. Masters, if anyone want to share your feedback or anything you want to discuss, feel free to unmute yourself and talk. Such an excellent session, sir. I can't thank you enough for pictorially representing this chapter in such a beautiful way. It was beyond my imagination, like how you put all that things like about the brain waves and all. Really great insights are like we do it involuntarily. We go to sleep every day. We do meditation so many times. We hear so many mystical experiences from our fellow meditators and all. But this is how inside us, how it is happening during all those experiences. So we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have been these things. We're being doing this, but what is happening inside us? Next time when we are in anxiety, when we are in tension, when we are in continuous thoughts, then we should keep in this mind like what is happening inside us when we are doing all this. That means we are in high beta state. High beta state
Yeah.
is like how we are putting our car in gear 1 and running it throughout the journey, and then suddenly it
Yeah.
breaks down at some point because it's using so much of energy to run in that gear 1. That's how we are running in that high beta state throughout our life, with continuously thinking like in a monkey mind. We have been in anxiety, have been like habituated to that kind of lifestyle. But
Yes, sir.
beautifully explained like how there is a bridge, there is a alpha bridge there, alpha, and we can easily reach that alpha bridge by listening to a soothing music or spend in nature or meditating, or so many things. We have tools to get into that alpha bridge so that we are there in between our conscious mind and unconscious mind. That is our divinity, right? We are thinking about so much of we need to reach the divinity, but to reach the divinity we have to get into that alpha bridge. Then only we will be able to continue. And in the sleep also, we have been moving from high beta to alpha to theta and delta, and so every day. But now we are able to understand that through your session. Really great, sir. Wonderful. So I think by learning these things, we'll be able to uh, keep in mind and actively practice. And about the meditation experiences, mystical experiences, how beautifully it was explained scientifically what is
Yes.
happening in the brain when they are having those experiences. Like initially how Julie was not able to connect to meditations. She's seeing all the disturbances like the breath of the fellow meditator. She's getting all those anxiety, everything. She's not able to meditate, but once she is able to connect to her breath, and she is having that mystical experience, and how it is correlated to the theta waves thing and all the brain waves or whatever it is, beautifully explains her like how we feel unlimited, compassionate, and free from ourselves to experience that healing or whatever it is. Like about that another person's surgery, that's we hear so much about astral surgery and all, but how it is happening
Yeah.
and how it is related to our brain state, and scientifically how he's attaching those two ends. Really great, sir. Like by learning this, I mean, we can voluntarily move into those states and get ourselves healed, or I think we can get that instigation from us. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you so much. Yeah. So
Thank you, sir.
masters, if you have any other, like if you want to discuss or share your feedback, please feel to unmute yourself.
Sir, I just have one question. As I can speak only English and Hindi, I would want to know what are any further sessions that you take. I want to attend all those sessions.
Yeah,
So
so every alternate
week.
Sunday we'll have this mind to matter sessions in English, madam. So now it's in chapter 1, chapter 3, part 1, then will be part 2 as well. And also we have Sanghas. It's, I think, sir, Purna, sir, it's on
It's on 14th May, sir.
14th May,
Okay.
yes, 14th May. And also we'll have some parenting sessions which will be in English by Saroja madam. That also will post those details as well. And also we'll be having some interviews, right, sir, from Voice of
Yes, sir.
BYM
Next week.
also. Yeah, madam.
Okay, sir. This session actually proved to be very helpful. I was very anxious this morning. So once I was going through the brainwave patterns and how you were talking about the theta state and the alpha and the beta state, and suddenly when you talked about compassion, and when I felt compassion within myself, and the brainwave and the thought process inside me changed, and I could come out of it, and it really proved helpful. I'm going through a tough time, and I really look forward to joining these sessions with you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Shreya madam. Thank you. Yeah, it's so many things we are being learning on this. I think we need to practice as well. One thing which I got in mind was that EFT thing, tapping, which we need to do whenever we are anxious or whenever we are going through some things. We are able to tap that and balance our energies. That would be good, like that echo meditation. Maybe Purna sir, as you told, we can
Yes, sir.
try
Next
to
week.
practice
We'll-
next in
next
the
week.
session.
Next week
Yeah.
after the next, like not next week, next to
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
After end of chapter 3, we'll do the EFT, because echo meditation is a combination of EFT tapping, then doing meditation, guided meditation by Dawson Church for another 10 minutes. It will take around 12 minutes. The complete process will take, but
Sure.
we'll do it at the end of the chapter 3, sir.
Yes, sure, sir. And also the one thing I wanted to highlight was about that the doctor who couldn't heal the
Yes, sir.
thing. There was another thing, sir, which we were discussing about the Byron Katie's questions. Like whatever is worrying you, she keeps on her thing was to ask questions like what is worrying you and what if you keep it aside, how are you feeling, and what this worry is doing to you. Those kind of questions, it's very good, sir, like how we ask for every thought, those 4 questions which we have discussed previously also. So that's what made her to connect to that, to heal that childhood trauma which she had, and she was not able to move forward. Like if some of us might have got stuck into that thing, but we don't know if we are stuck because of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Only if
It's hard to remember, because childhood traumas or memories, sometimes it's very hard to recollect at that correct point of time. Maybe we can, because she luckily had able to recollect after asking some typical questions during the workshop, one-on-one session with her. So these 2 questions, it triggered her childhood trauma. But many people, they are not able to recollect the traumas also, because somehow their brains are put a lot of mess on the trauma and covered it up.
Correct, sir. I think like our inner child workshops and all might
That's right.
heal those wounds. Yesterday only we had some discussion about the spiritual parenting, and today also when you are discussing some point like how one of the person Prem, he had that programming from his father about how limited he was, like
Life is
how there is
tough.
no time and something like that. Keep on telling that, and that it became his life, how he was programmed and how he came out of that program. That's what I think as a parents also we have to keep in mind, how we need to, we can, even if we are able to program them into that limited way, we can also program them into the unlimited way, like how unlimited they are, how they're able to get powerful and all. That's very great, sir, like how we can use that point. Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for summarizing the complete session, sir, today as well as. And masters, if anybody wants, just please share your feedback, or if anybody wants to discuss about anything, just you can raise your hand or unmute yourself. Okay, sir, then we'll end the session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your passion. You wanted to do it at any cost, like through the change of schedules. Hopefully it got into your right time and you are able to do this session. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Shreya, madam. Are you in the group, madam?